What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are recapping the month, as we always do, and we are taking the month of August and looking at every movie that I saw, original movie from 2019, and the majority of them released in August. There might be one or two on here that came out earlier and I saw them, wasn't able to talk about them on the channel. If there is a movie on here that does not have a review on YouTube, that review is 100% on Patreon. Regardless, today we are recapping, and of course, I need your lists down below. Which movie was your favorite? Which one was your least favorite? And if you want to see all of the movies that I watched, old or new, you can check out my Letterboxd page where I am recapping, logging, and reviewing every single day. Alright, Austin, shut up. Get into this list. Oh, and by the way, before we get into this, at the end of this video, I am going to take all of these movies, shift them around, and give you my ranking from whatever the number is to 1. I don't know. Didn't look at it. If you guys saw my summer tier list, there are a lot more movies on here that I haven't talked about. I know I'm going to be repeating myself a bit, but I didn't include Netflix, so a lot of Netflix on here, a few that I wasn't the biggest fan of, but you're going to hear me repeat a few things from that video, so I do apologize. And hey, we're starting with the Angry Birds movie too. So that's what we're doing. Gonna go ahead and put this on the tier that you guys anticipate. Listen, I don't think it's bad, and that's why I'm refraining from putting it on the bad tier. These movies, they don't do it for me. It is one that is entertaining enough, and I think kids are going to get from it what is intended for them to get from it, but I didn't see in the story what I think a lot of critics did, because it has a high score on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's one of those that felt like a misfire in almost every sense, except for the humor, which I will say was a bit better than the first. Listen, it's fine. It's nothing I would say rush out and see. It does what it intends to do. It's not one I'm ever going to go back to. This franchise, for me, Next up, we have a very recent film in Don't Let Go. I actually just reviewed this on Thursday, and this is one that I wanted to be better than it actually was. And while I'm very close to putting it on the meh tier, I'm going to put it on the bad tier. You know, if I had a tier in the middle, I would put it on that one, but I'm going to say bad because it's a big missed opportunity, especially when you look at the acting really from David Oyelowo, but Storm Reid is good as well, and their chemistry is great. But the concept of he is texting her when she is 2 weeks in the past, about to die, and he has to keep her from getting killed. It sounds awesome. A lot of people recommended the movie Frequency, which I haven't seen, but I looked into that, and I'm like, yeah, it does kind of sound like that, but the execution here, it's kind of botched, and it was a big misfire. Blumhouse tilt, which rarely releases a movie that's the best, but at least they market their films. They didn't market this movie. I saw one trailer like a week ago, and that's the only time I saw the trailer, and I keep up with that stuff. So it goes on the bad tier. I'm not saying it's the worst movie I've seen all year, but could have been better. Next up, we have 47 Meters Down Uncaged. So yeah, wasn't the biggest fan of the first one. I would actually put the first one on the awful tier, but I'm not going to do that for this film. I'm going to put this film... Okay, I'm still going to put it on the bad tier because it's a bad movie, but I did like it a bit more than the first, so that's good, right? Listen, this takes the idea of being stranded 47 meters down, even though in this movie they weren't 47 meters down, so they probably just did this to make money, which they didn't do regardless, but there are just so many things to do for the characters in this movie. You're not stuck in a cage. You're stuck in a cave. It's dark. There are like twisty cyclones in the water, and then there are sharks to top all those things off, not surrounding a cage, but they're swimming right underneath you. So yes, the intensity was a lot higher. The tension was significantly better in this movie, but it's the acting, and it's the first 45 minutes of not what I just said, and that was slow and really rough. Listen, there is enjoyment to be had from this film, absolutely, but for me, yeah, I wasn't getting it. We move on to the Peanut Butter Falcon. Oh yes, I am thoroughly excited to talk about this film. Now, this is a fringe movie for me. When I say that, I mean the movies that I'm putting on the awesome tier, I mean they have to be top notch. And I thought for a second about putting the Peanut Butter Falcon on the great tier, and then I'm like, no, what am I doing? It's in my top 10 of the year. It is an awesome movie. If you get the chance to see this, and it, I believe, got a wider release this last weekend, go and see it. It is monumental in terms of the emotional connection between the two leads in Zach and, of course, Shia LaBeouf's character. Shia LaBeouf, by the way, the performance, oh my goodness, possibly his best, but then you look at Zach and he's great. Like, I want him, don't just typecast him in this film. Give him more opportunities at roles. He's so good. Dakota Johnson was good, and the story. You guys know me. I love a good brotherly story, friendship, love, supporting the dreams of your friends. It's the best story you can tell. And if you execute it properly with gorgeous cinematography and just great direction for first-time directors, you're going to make an impression on me. And that's exactly what The Peanut Butter Falcon did. Movie that kind of made an impression. Like, I see Chris Evans in the Red Sea Diving Resort, and I'm like, he's really good in this movie, but the movie is such a missed opportunity for something that could have been impactful. You have something that's going on overseas, the idea of these people staying in this resort to escape from those that are going to hunt them down. I mean, everything, the concept is so good, but once again, in the same vein of Don't Let Go, just a completely different movie and plot, they had a great concept. It's just botched execution. And Chris Evans delivering these one-liners that kind of sounded like he was Captain America, playing Captain America. I know the guy has range. He's a great actor, and he was good in this movie, but his character didn't really work. The story didn't come together like it should have. It's not bad, and because it's not bad, I'm going to put it on the meh tier because I think it's a meh movie. It's just a missed opportunity. That should have been the tier. Next up, we're talking Good Boys. And Good Boys is one I was afraid was going to be okay. But it ended up being good. Now, I wanted it to be great. It could have went either way. I will say the biggest belly laughs of the year come from this movie. Good Boys was so funny. And if you're going to put it on the great tier, listen, I know a guy who has it in his top 5, top 10 of the year. That's fine. Listen, if this movie impacted you in the way that it was supposed to, and I always say that every movie I say this about, if a movie does its job, you have the right to say, it's the best movie I've seen this year. It's one of the best movies of the year. Like, that is what movies intend to do. And Good Boys, all it had to do was make me laugh. If it would have had a better structured story, if the characters would have been more, and I hate to say fleshed out in comedy like this, but I wanted to know more about everyone but the kids, and then you spend time on these subplots, and some of the jokes fall flat, I will admit. It's not the best, 70-30 in terms of laughter and non-laughter movie I've seen this year. That probably goes to Booksmart, but the biggest laughs and the belly laughs come from Good Boys, and because of that, Good Boys is in the good tier. No more puns. Let's move on to... So, the comments on this video were just hilarious because I even had... It came down to people accusing me of being racist. I hate to bring this up, but it's therapeutic. You guys know. You've been here before. You know what I talk about. But people are saying, you don't like Marlon Wayans. You don't like a black actor leading a movie. It's racist. And I'm distraught. I'm like, did we watch the same movie? Like, Sextuplets was so bad. It was awful. It wasn't just bad. But it was so bad. And nothing about the humor or the structure or the story worked near as well as it intended. And then I don't even remember the brother's name. The brother that spends the bigger one that spends the most time with Marlon Wayans, also played by Marlon Wayans, as is a lot of the other characters. One of the most annoying characters I've seen all year. I tried to block that entire subplot out of my head just because it felt like such a waste of time. Once again, and I'll say it one more time, I like Marlon Wayans. I don't love the movies that he stars in all the time, but I think he's a funny dude. His comedy specials have worked well for me, so I was kind of excited. I saw it was from the director of Naked. I'm like, oh no. And that's exactly the route I went down. But worse. Listen, if you got enjoyment from Sextuplets, I can't stop you from doing that. All movies are subjective. This one for me, it didn't work, and it's easily in the bottom few movies. If you're following me on Letterboxd, you know where it's ranked, but yikes! Something that wasn't yikes, The Farewell was, and you know where I'm going with this, it was awesome, man. This movie is pure awesomeness. If you've ever lost a loved one, doesn't have to be your grandmother, doesn't have to be someone that's a bit older. If you've ever lost a family member in general, you know you relate to Awkwafina's character in this movie. By the way, one of the best performances I've seen all year. Still her and the grandma in this movie, but it is just a phenomenally made film. A24 is consistently putting out movies in this vein, but this one for me, it just hit in all of the right places because I am currently experiencing similar things with my grandma who's in a nursing home who is sick, and it's not that we're not telling her, it's just she doesn't have the mind to realize that she's sick, right? In this situation, they are opting to not tell the grandmother that she has cancer. And there's your story. Just imagine how sad and emotional that gets. Woo! If you guys get the chance to see this movie, go see it. Can't believe I haven't seen it since I saw it the first time. Wonderful film, heartbreaking in every single way, and I loved it. Next up is Angel Has Fallen. You know, Angel Has Fallen. It ended up being better than I thought it was going to be. I'm still gonna say it's meh. And me saying Angel Has Fallen is meh is not me telling you you should not watch it. If it was on the bad tier, that'd be don't watch. But meh is one that I'm gonna give it to it and say there's fun to be had with this movie. It's just the predictable nature and even down to the casting of this film. They literally cast actors who you know is going to play a villain. Even if they set them up as a hero, you know they're going to be a bad guy. So it's like they put no effort into the plot, no effort in the script, and I can't give the movie a pass for that. But Gerard Butler's fun, and Nick Nolte. Yeah, once again, I don't know if he knew he was in a movie. This is Nick Nolte being Nick Nolte, but he's so good in this film. Morgan Freeman's voice is therapeutic. It's smooth as butter, and there are elements of this movie that works. Let's move on to Loose. Loose is a movie that I reviewed on Patreon. It is staged a bit differently than other movies I've seen this year. It's part of the draw to it. It's staged like a play. Well, it's based on a play. But the acting in here, especially from Octavia Spencer's character, is just amazing. I believe his name is Kelvin Harrison Jr. He plays Luce. Their dynamic, their conflict, and just the way that he is looked at of being the guy in high school. And everybody knows a guy like that. I sure wasn't that guy. This guy is athletic, he's smart, he can do everything. But is he really the man that everyone puts him on this pedestal to be? That's for the audience to figure out, and that's why Luce is so appealing. Really good filmmaking, and one of the best scores I think I've heard all year. It's underrated, it's haunting in a sense, and just builds up this intensity. Really enjoyed Luce, and because of that, if I had to choose right now at this moment, I'm gonna go good, but it is pushing that great tier, man. It is like right there. Thoroughly enjoyable movie in a different, like not an entertainment sense, but just you're fascinated the entire time. I recommend it. Another one I recommend, I'm going to go ahead and put this on the great tier, is The Last Black Man in San Francisco. A24, again, just killing it. My big issue with this story is the story. It was structured in a manner that didn't 100% get there for me, and it feels a bit not convoluted, but it feels like it's kind of pieced together at times. And I didn't actually know what the movie was about because I didn't read the summary until about 25 minutes into the film, and that's usually not a good sign. But the filmmaking was so gorgeous. Probably the best camera movement I've seen all year. And it's a movie that sticks with you when you walk out of the theater. As soon as I figured out what it was about, this guy who is obsessed with reclaiming this house in San Francisco that his grandfather built and realizing what he has to realize in the movie, it's just a beautiful story. It's also a story that hits on friendship, so of course that's going to get to me. And the filmmaking, that's the best part of the movie. If the story was as good as the filmmaking, this would be top 5 of the year for me. It wasn't, but still great, and I really enjoyed it. Next up, and I just talked about it on this channel, Falling in Love. And we're on the fringe again. I'm going to say bad. I'm not going to say awful because there's something about the charm of the lead here. She's good enough to carry a movie, not this movie, not a cliched, conventional, predictable, non-funny Hallmark movie that does not belong on Netflix. And I can say that about multiple films, but this is just another one. I watched it. Forgot about it. I dumpstered it out of my head. It's not one I ever want to recommend to someone who I believe would enjoy a good Hallmark movie. Do with that what you will. The lead was just this cliche character. Everything about it, and the quirky humor, not good. It was bad. Still can't put it on the awful tier. Sextuplets, you're by yourself right now, pal. Next up is Hobbs and Shaw, and I'm going to talk about it again as I did my other tier. Really enjoyed this movie for what it was. Is it a good movie structure-wise and really directing? Not really, but is it a good experience? Yes, because it's fun. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jason Statham, their chemistry really carries the entire movie, with Vanessa Kirby coming in there and almost stealing the entire show. It was just a really fun time, and I enjoyed the action, I enjoyed the experience. Idris Elba, he knows exactly what movie he is in. There are just so many things that work about this movie. They kind of overshadow the fact that the story's not the best, the plot's not the best. Regardless, I think it was a good time in the theater. Therefore, I'm putting it on the good tier. Next up, we have Dora and the Lost City of Gold. Can't quite get it to okay. I'm going to say meh, which is better than I thought I was going to say about Dora and the Lost City of Gold. Let me tell you, especially after that first trailer, I loved the first 20 minutes. This situational awareness humor, well, not her, but everyone around her, and just the fact that it knows exactly what fans want from this story. It was cringeworthy in a way that was super funny because she's being Dora and everyone around them is being as a person would be in real life, until you start going on the adventure and then things go over the top and the CGI is really bad and you don't care about the story. It's an Indiana Jones ripoff. Clear ripoff. There's a really cool animated sequence in there that I enjoyed, but other than that, the entire second half of the movie was just a snooze fest for me. And I say snooze fest, it's one of the only movies all year I've wanted to fall asleep in. Didn't quite get there, but Dora the Explorer is on the meh tier, and it's probably going to stay there for me, but I get how you enjoyed it. Isabella Monet is awesome in the movie. Next up is Wild Rose, and what... Yeah. Jessie Buckley gives one of the best performances I have seen all year. It's just a girl who does not live in America, but she wants to end up in Nashville, Tennessee because she sings country music. Interesting. And no one around her appreciates what she does, and no one around her understands the passion that she has. Look, she's not the best person. The first scene we see in the movie is her walking out of jail. So it explores that, and I would say for the most part it's a movie for families. There are one or two scenes in there I'm like, you didn't have to put that in because it just kind of divides the audience. But I loved it. I loved the movie. I loved the music, and I loved the performance. I mean, she is so passionate, not just the character, but her performance about this character, and the character's passion for her love of country music. It carries you through, man. This is one, if you haven't seen it, if you haven't heard of it, look for it, find it, watch it. In the vein of a Sing Street, and I know we've had a lot of musical movies this year, this one is one of the best, and one of the ones that nobody is going to be talking about. And therefore, I'm going to put Wild Rose on the great tier. Then we have Otherhood. And I'm going to be flat honest with you. I've completely forgotten all about this movie. All it is, it's three guys. Their mothers miss them very much. It's on Netflix if you want to check it out. Therefore, they start getting back into their lives, except it's not easy. They're causing chaos. They're really impeding on their sons' lives. But are they changing them for the better? Listen, the performances here are fine, but you have three standout actresses. I mean, some of the best in the business. Whether it is a Patricia Arquette or an Angela Bassett, I mean, the talent here is great. But it's the story, and it's really the pacing of the movie. It just felt long. The humor didn't work. It wasn't funny. It's not a movie that's really intended for me. I will say that. So I'm going to put it on the meh tier. I don't think it's a bad film. It's just one that's forgettable, and it's another Netflix movie. Look, if you want to watch another Netflix movie, and you want to watch one about mothers and their role in their children's lives when they're older, watch this. Otherwise, I wouldn't watch it again. Blinded by the Light. Blinded by the Light is one that I got really close to putting on the great tier. There are a few things about this movie that I didn't love. Elements of the filmmaking that felt a bit sloppy, and certain stylistic decisions, not the text on the screen I enjoyed that element of the film, but a few things about the filmmaking, and the plot isn't a standout, I've never seen this before, because I have, but it's the execution and the acting. I mean, some standout performances, just a lovely, lovely story between a father and a son. How the father doesn't want the son to pursue his dreams of writing. He loves to write. We've had a lot of movies like this year, but Blinded by the Light is one I think you should see. A lot of people compared it to Sing Street. I like Sing Street a lot better. But once again, this is on the good tier. I think it's a really good movie. I think you guys should definitely check it out when you get the chance. It's just a wonderful, heartfelt story. You can't go wrong with that. Holy cow, one you can't go wrong with either, and one that I never in a million years would have predicted the fact that it is on the great tier. That is Ready or Not. What a fun movie. Fox Searchlight doing it again. Samara Weaving is so good in this film. A film that knows exactly what it is. And how often can you say that about a movie in this nature? A dark comedy involving a family who's all ganging up and going after this newlywed who just married into this family. And it is really just this survival story where she goes from what she is in the beginning of the movie to this BA character, and it's just so much fun. I can't believe how much fun. I have nitpicks with the story. I have nitpicks with a few scenes. There's one scene in a car, and everything is just so convenient for the characters and for the story. And at that point, I'm like, it's not very good writing. But that's the only time I said that in the movie. Ready or Not is great. It's a great movie. I still can't believe I'm saying that. So much fun. I hope you guys get the chance to see it. And let's move into the kitchen. We're going from the living room. We're going to make our way to the kitchen now. Then we're going to make our way right back out because the kitchen is unfortunately a bad movie. And I wanted this to be good. I like the trailer. I love Tiffany Haddish, Elizabeth Moss, Melissa McCarthy. But what was this movie? This movie doesn't know what it is. It's so choppy. I mean, watching this film, it starts out and it feels like the arc completes itself within the first 10 minutes, and then from then on, it's nothing but the characters going out and doing the same thing, that never felt threatening. McCarthy doesn't put all that she needs to put into this performance, and because of that, she's still good. The acting's fine. You even have a character like Domhnall Gleeson's character, and great actor, but he's wasted. Everything about this movie is a big wasted opportunity. I thought the directing was horrible. It's a horribly directed movie. The only saving grace is the acting and the fact that it is based on a DC novel, one that, has a cool story to it, and it at times felt like Goodfellas, but I don't even want to put these two movies in the same sentence because they're not that. So we're going to move on to The Art of Racing in the Rain. When I did my summer tier list, I guess I had The Other Dog movie on my mind because Dennis Quaid is in The Other Dog movie, and we had just talked about The Intruder, so I said, Dennis Quaid plays the dog, and oh my god, I mean, obviously I know, I reviewed the movie and said Kevin Costner voiced the dog, but it's like, anytime you make a mistake on YouTube, and it's like, well, actually, and I'm like, I talked for 52 minutes in that video. Sorry, going on a rant. Listen, The Art of Racing in the Rain it's what you expect it to be. It's not bad. It's another meh movie. I wanted it to be better than it was. I really did. And it's one of those that I think a lot of people who read the story, they're going to watch the movie and they're going to be brokenhearted. And I get it. It's a heartbreaking story. It's a predictable story. It's a story where they focus too much on the human characters. And I didn't like a lot of the acting. Some of the marquee actors, I don't think they did a good job. But I did love Kevin Costner as the dog. I thought it worked, and I didn't think it was going to work when I saw the marketing, but that part of the movie worked. Everything else, though, ugh. That's why it's on the meh tier, though, because I did get some enjoyment, and I will admit, I'm like, I love dogs, I love my dog. I came home, gave Buddy a big hug after I saw that movie, which I do with all of these films. Next up is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Finally! We have an okay movie in the month of August because I think this movie's okay. There were some things that really, really worked. The practical effects and anything that has to do with Guillermo del Toro worked with this movie. The problem is he didn't direct the film. And because he didn't direct the film, I didn't feel his stylistic touch that I needed to feel. And I didn't feel, speaking of feelings, for the characters as much as the story needed me to. I loved when we got into the situations and we saw the demons, the ghosts, the monsters, whatever they were at the time. Those were great. It's all of the in-between situations. It's like we would jump from, I'm really enjoying this, to, okay, we're back to this. And I'm really enjoying this, to, okay, maybe the joke's not working as well as they want it to work. Once again, it's not bad. There are really good elements to this movie. Great elements. But there are also elements that kind of fall flat could have been better. And the final movie that we're talking about, wait a second, there's another movie on the, okay, so I have to admit something to you guys. When I made this tier list, I expected to have watched the new John Travolta movie, The Fanatic. I'm still planning on watching the new John Travolta movie, The Fanatic. The problem is, I haven't watched it yet, and August is probably going to be over before I get the chance to watch, or at least before I get the chance to edit this video, and I want this video out on a Sunday, so we're not going to talk about it. John Travolta, he's gonna sit right there. Listen to me, pal. You're not going to move, you're not going to go anywhere, and we're gonna pick you up from this list, and we're just going to put you in the September list, because that's what we're doing. And hey, technically that works because the VOD releases in August, but it's coming out on Blu-ray in September. So if you guys are going to buy the new John Travolta movie, The Fanatic, on Blu-ray, call me. We're going to talk about Them That Follow, and that's the final film we're talking about today. It's okay. Listen, I wanted to like this more than I actually did. The acting is great. Reviews on Patreon, by the way. Caitlin Dever's in this movie. She's really good. This film is all about a church in kind of where I grew up, the foothills of eastern Kentucky. I grew up in a holler, and that's kind of the location that we're feeling, the vibes we're getting. It's not in Kentucky, but the vibes we're getting from this movie. Some of the performances are a bit over the top because I know really hillbilly-esque people who go to hillbilly-esque churches, and they're not this wacky. I'm sure they exist. I'm sure they're out there, and it is a timely film, and it is 2019, but I didn't gravitate towards the vibes that this film was giving off. Regardless, it's still a very well-made movie. It's a very well-made film with great cinematography, a story that's interesting enough. It's all about a couple of people who want out of this situation because they feel like they just don't necessarily believe what everyone else is believing, even though there are certain characters who are completely conflicted. Is this what I believe? Do I believe that we have to allow ourselves to be or not be bitten by snakes to prove that we believe in God? I mean, that's an intense situation, and if you want to see a movie like that, I would say see it. I would recommend giving this a chance. Just don't expect this Oscar-caliber movie. To me, it was okay. And that's the list, guys. That is my August tier list, but we're not done. We still got to rank them. We're going to do it quickly because I've been talking for a while. And we start at the bottom, right where it needs to be, sextuplets. Then we come to the kitchen. Hey, we're in order so far. Falling in Love is where it needs to be, as well as 47 Meters Down, Uncaged, and Don't Let Go. It's pretty easy so far. Then we're going to switch this. We're going to put Otherhood at the 17 slot. Angry Birds 2 at the 16 spot. Not keeping Dora there. We're going to move Dora here. We're going to put Dora in the 15 spot. And then the Red Sea Diving Resort at the 14 spot. Followed by, I'm going to switch these as well. I'm going to put Angel Has Fallen at the 13 spot. And The Art of Racing in the Rain comes in at number 12. Then we have Them That Follow at 11. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark at 10. At number 9, I'm actually going to put Good Boys in that spot, followed by Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw. At number 7, we have Blinded by the Light. And then at number 6, Loose. At number 5, still can't believe I have Ready or Not as high as it is, and it's going even higher. I'm putting The Last Black Man in San Francisco at 5, leaving Ready or Not at number 4. Wild Rose comes in at number 3. My number 2 spot is going to The Peanut Butter Falcon, which means The Farewell, the movie that got to me the most. Well, the two films that got to me the most this year take my 1 and 2 spot. That's it. That is my ranking of all of the movies that I saw in August. Is there a movie that I missed, or is there a film that maybe you think is too high or too low? Please let me know in the comments down below. I appreciate you guys, everything that you do, watching all of the videos this weekend. If all things have went according to plan, we still have a live stream planned for later on today to celebrate 40,000 subscribers. And if you look at the link in the description, if you want to buy some t-shirts and some sweatshirts and some shirts in general, and I believe they're socks, you can purchase from my Teespring store. It's not too difficult of a task. The link works well. I appreciate everything you guys do for me. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you very soon.